Hi, I just wanted to give you an update on the Hedge Invest Africa Opportunities Fund. We had a good month in August. We were up around 3%. We had good results out of some of our core positions. One of them was Telecom Egypt. Telecom Egypt provides fixed line, high-speed internet to businesses and residences in Egypt. Just seeing really good results, seeing strong demand for high-speed internet from businesses and residences in Egypt. That stock trades at around 6.5 times earnings, despite an incredibly valuable franchise, and I think the shares can go up a lot. Another one was Cobell. Distributes fuel, runs filling stations in Eastern Africa. Really well-run company with good management. They've cleaned up the balance sheet, and they're gaining market share from the other competitors in the region. They're getting preferential terms for importing fuel from the banks because they're a very good borrower. So they're gaining market share. Again, very valuable franchise, trading at 7 times earnings. I think these are really low prices. Finally, another big result out of Anglo American. It's a very diversified mining company. They mine copper, coal, platinum, iron ore. And again, results were up 120% year over year. The debt's been coming down from 10 billion to 5.5. Management reinstated the dividend, focused on cost cutting. And again, valuation, 8 times earnings, 6.5% dividend yield. Another stock that I think can keep going up. One other big change to the portfolio, we told you last month about the high yield government bond portfolio. We've taken that up from 13% of the fund to 20%. So now we have high yield African government bonds from Zambia, Ghana, Nigeria, and Egypt. This bond portfolio yields about 19%. So it's adding some good yield to the portfolio. And we had a little bit of good news out of Zambia and Ghana. They're just extending the IMF programs. Staying on track with reforms there. So that's good. Another change to the portfolio, we bought back some of the energy positions we'd sold earlier in the year at higher prices. Oil prices have been trading between $45 and $55 for about over a year now. A lot of the earlier enthusiasm about oil is gone. Traders are skeptical about oil, pessimistic. But meanwhile, fundamentals have been pretty good. Inventories are coming down. Oil demand's been coming in about 1.5 million barrels per day of growth. That's up from earlier estimates for the year of 1.4 million. So we got growth coming in better, inventories coming down, and traders are skeptical. And some of these oil stocks in Africa have been sold down. So we bought back shares in Tullow and Lek Oil. Tullow is an oil producer primarily in Ghana, with some very interesting acreage in Uganda and Kenya that is not getting any value, which could over time be worth a lot. And then again, Lek Oil is a small oil producer in Nigeria, trades at 4 times cash flow next year. So a lot of potential upside in those two stocks. Finally, in Kenya, there's been a bit of news. They recently had a presidential election. There were accusations of fraud in the election, that the results weren't calculated properly. It went to the Supreme Court of Kenya. The Supreme Court of Kenya decided that the election would be null and void. Kenya will have a new presidential election in October. So there's been a little bit of anxiety about this. Some of the stocks sold off a little bit, not much though. We reduced some of the stocks in Kenya hit our price targets, and we're pretty disciplined, so we reduced them. And I think we're quite bullish long term on Kenya, and I think it's positive that the Supreme Court made such a difficult decision. It's very difficult for a Supreme Court to overthrow a presidential election. I think it's very strong that this happened in Kenya. So we're about 10% of the fund in Kenya. We're in the position to add to it if we get a chance, because I think long-term the story is still good. So that's the summary of August. We like our positions, and I think there's good upside, and we should have a good rest of the year. Thank you.